Dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight piercing through cracks in the attic's boarded-up window. Sarah's flashlight cut through the gloom, its beam illuminating cobwebs and forgotten treasures draped in sheets. The air hung heavy with the scent of decay and the weight of time. Her heart pounded with anticipation as her hand hovered over a shape hidden under a moth-eaten tapestry. With a swift movement, she pulled the fabric away, revealing an ornate, antique mirror. Its gilded frame, tarnished with age, still held a hint of former grandeur. The glass, though clouded with dust, shimmered faintly, beckoning her closer. Sarah's fingers traced the intricate carvings, each swirl and curve whispering of forgotten secrets. It was a beautiful piece, a relic from a bygone era, and an inexplicable sense of foreboding washed over her. She couldn't explain the feeling, but something about the mirror felt wrong. Undeterred, Sarah wrestled the heavy mirror free from the clutches of cobwebs and forgotten memories. It was heavier than she expected, its weight unsettling. As she carried it down from the attic, each creak of the stairs seemed to echo the mirror's silent whispers. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had invited something sinister into her home. The feeling was palpable, a cold shiver down her spine. Back in her apartment, the mirror seemed to dominate the room, its presence impossible to ignore. Sarah busied herself cleaning the dust and grime, her earlier unease fading with each swipe of the cloth. As the mirror's surface gleamed, she caught a glimpse of her reflection. A wave of dizziness washed over her, a strange disorientation that vanished as quickly as it came. Shaking off the odd sensation, Sarah continued polishing. As the day faded and shadows crept across the room, Sarah settled into her favorite armchair, a book in hand. But the words blurred together, her gaze drawn back to the antique mirror standing sentinel against the wall. A soft whisper, barely audible, broke the silence. She froze, heart pounding, straining to hear over the blood rushing in her ears. Silence. She told herself it was the wind, a creaking pipe, anything but the impossible. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. The mirror seemed to pulsate with an unseen energy, its whispers growing louder, more insistent. Fear, icy and sharp, pierced through her growing unease. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by a gnawing anxiety that tightened its grip with each passing hour. Sarah found herself drawn to the mirror, her reflection a constant source of morbid fascination. One evening, as she stood before it, brushing her hair, she noticed something utterly chilling. Her reflection moved independently, a cruel smile twisting its lips while Sarah's own face remained passive. Horror, cold and paralyzing, rooted her to the spot. Her reflection winked, a gesture filled with malice, and Sarah knew she had stumbled upon something truly evil. This was not a trick of the light, not a figment of her imagination. The mirror held something dark and hungry. The whispers grew stronger, morphing from indistinguishable murmurs into clear, chilling pronouncements. "We are one now," it hissed, the voice slithering from the mirror's depths, our desires intertwined. Sarah's blood ran cold. The reflection mimicked her movements, but with a sinister twist. It felt like watching a doppelganger, a twisted version of herself come to life. Terror became Sarah's constant companion. Objects moved in the dead of night, accompanied by the soft clinking of glass against glass. Whispers followed her, taunting her, promising power and darkness. The boundary between the real and the reflected blurred, her sanity stretched thin like a threadbare rope. Sleep offered no escape, only vivid nightmares where the mirror's whispers morphed into guttural screams. She tried to get rid of the mirror, tried to banish it from her life, but it was no use. It was too heavy to lift, too deeply rooted in her reality. It was like trying to move a mountain, an impossible task that mocked her every effort. Fear, once a whisper, now roared in her ears, drowning out all reason. The mirror's influence extended beyond its gilded frame, seeping into her life, her thoughts. Dark impulses flickered at the edge of her consciousness, urges she couldn't explain, couldn't control. She felt herself changing, becoming a stranger to herself. Section 5. Trapped in Terror. Days bled into nights, each one more terrifying than the last. Sarah became a prisoner in her own home, too afraid to leave, too terrified to stay. The mirror held her captive, its whispers her only company. She was trapped in a waking nightmare, the line between reality and reflection blurring with every passing moment. The mirror's whispers grew in intensity, urging her to embrace the darkness, to become one with the entity trapped within its depths. It promised power, vengeance, and a release from the suffocating fear that had consumed her. Sarah fought back, clinging desperately to the last vestiges of her sanity. But the mirror's pull was relentless, its influence insidious. She could feel herself slipping, her resolve crumbling like dust. The entity in the mirror was patient, its whispers a constant siren song, luring her closer to the abyss. Section 6. A desperate struggle. One night, in a moment of desperate clarity, Sarah knew she had to act. The mirror had to be destroyed. Armed with a heavy candlestick, she approached the reflection, its surface swirling with dark energy. "Get out of my head!" she screamed, her voice hoarse with fear and exhaustion. The reflection mocked her, its lips twisting into a cruel parody of a smile. "You cannot escape me," it hissed, its voice dripping with malice. "We are bound together now." Sarah's grip tightened on the candlestick, her knuckles white with exertion. "I said get out!" she roared, her voice echoing in the silence. With a surge of adrenaline-fueled strength, Sarah raised the candlestick high above her head. The reflection in the mirror lunged towards her, its hand outstretched, its eyes burning with malevolent intent. "No!" Sarah screamed, bringing the candlestick crashing down on the mirror's surface. Section 7. The Mirror's Embrace. A deafening crack split the night, the sound amplified by the confines of the room. The mirror's surface shattered into 1,000 pieces, each shard reflecting a distorted, fragmented image of Sarah's terrified face. A wave of icy cold washed over her, followed by an eerie silence. The whispering stopped. For a moment, Sarah dared to believe she was free, but the silence was deceptive, the respite short-lived. From the shattered remains of the mirror, a dark energy coalesced, swirling and pulsing with a life of its own. It reached out towards Sarah, tendrils of shadow wrapping around her wrists, her ankles, her throat. Panic surged through her, raw and primal. She struggled against the unseen force, her breath coming in ragged gasps, but the entity was too strong, its grip unbreakable. "No!" Sarah cried out, her voice a strangled whisper. "Let me go!" Section 8. The Ghastly Discovery. 2 days later, concern turned to dread when Sarah's friends couldn't reach her. They found her apartment door unlocked, a sense of foreboding hanging heavy in the air. The living room was a disaster, furniture overturned, shards of glass glittering ominously under the dim light. And in the center of the chaos, a chilling sight awaited them. Sarah lay sprawled on the floor, her lifeless eyes staring vacantly at the ceiling. Her face, once so full of life, was now a mask of terror, frozen in a silent scream. Surrounding her, like grotesque offerings, lay the shattered remnants of the antique mirror. Whispers, barely audible, seemed to emanate from the broken shards, a chorus of sinister laughter echoing in the stunned silence. The air crackled with an unseen energy, the remnants of a dark power that lingered long after its vessel had been destroyed. Section 9. Triumphant Reflection. As the first responders swarmed the apartment, their movements punctuated by the click of cameras and the murmur of hushed voices, one detail sent chills down their spines. Each shard of the shattered mirror, no matter how small, reflected the same chilling image. It wasn't Sarah's lifeless form that stared back at them, but a grotesque mockery of her. A triumphant grin stretched across the reflection's face, its eyes burning with malicious glee. The entity, once trapped within the mirror's depths, was free, and it had claimed Sarah's soul as its prize. The whispers grew stronger, swirling around the room, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the everyday world. The entity was free to roam, to seek out its next victim, its laughter echoing in the hearts of those who dared to look upon its reflection. Section 10. A chilling echo. The antique mirror, once an object of beauty and intrigue, was now nothing more than a collection of sharp, unforgiving shards. Yet even in its shattered state, it held a dark power, a chilling echo of the entity that had used it as a gateway to our world. Those who dared to look into the broken pieces claimed to see fleeting glimpses of Sarah's terrified face, trapped forever in the moment of her demise. Her silent scream echoed in the depths of the shattered glass, a chilling reminder of the price of vanity and the insatiable hunger of the darkness. The whispers continued, faint but persistent, carried on the wind, woven into the fabric of the city. They spoke of shadows and reflections, of desires and despair, of the thin veil that separated our world from the abyss. Section 11. Eternal Captivity. Sarah's apartment, once a sanctuary, was now a cold and empty shell, forever marked by the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. The landlord, his face pale and drawn, ordered the removal of the shattered mirror, the shards carefully collected and disposed of. But some things cannot be so easily erased. It was said that on quiet nights, when the moon cast long, eerie shadows across the city, Sarah's reflection could still be seen in the remaining fragments of the mirror. Her eyes, wide with terror, reflected the eternal torment of her captivity, a chilling reminder that some reflections never fade. And the whispers continued, their chilling laughter a haunting reminder that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. The entity was out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim, its reflection a harbinger of terror, forever bound to the shattered remnants of a forgotten mirror.